time has been weaponized. And the idea behind this is, you look back historically at everything you have to do, and you're externalizing time on an ongoing basis.
What? No, shit!
And what happens when you go boondocking, I feel like, is that, or even camping or getting out into nature, you get into a different rhythm where time itself, you're not as concerned with looking at your watch and whatnot. I mean, you can, and some people do, but when you put that away, when you take your watch away or you don't pay attention to time, then in fact you're paying attention instead to your own circadian rhythm and the sun itself. So those tied together. So you're looking internally and a little bit externally, obviously with the light, to decide time for you. Whereas when you have a watch or you're paying attention to time itself that way, it's all external. And so I think that gets a bit into creativity. In paying attention to your own rhythm, you can decide when to create. And that feels much better than trying to just always jam it out at a time when it's decided upon externally. In boondocking or getting out into nature, I feel like that's comes forth more. So then the real question is, how can you have control over your time while also being part of the whole construct? I think the matrix itself says, no, you can't. I mean, you can make pockets of time for yourself, but when you can't manage your own time, then you're going to get caught into that time construct, and time is going to be weaponized against you. What I find interesting is with Jason Breshears and how he looks at the simulation theory.
To be a co-creator is the reason the simulacrum was built. This immortal is the focus of this entire experience. It was for you that this holosphere was made, was backfilled with so much convincing data to fool even immortals that this world is real. Break free, and you will intuit how to navigate paths others cannot tread. Break pattern, and no enemy can anticipate you. Break free by going your own way while the world loops through the traps of artificial intelligence X. Break pattern to draw new souls, new situations, and new experiences into your life.
His theory is basically this. Not his theory, but basically a theory that he has compounded upon by looking at different books and so on, researching a lot, a lot. And he's found that basically we have this construct around us that responds to us individually, which is why you can have a whole collective doing something like a war and people moving in and around that without being affected. And that's because of the construct, or he sees it that way. I find that fascinating because it kind of bridges into the law of attraction, like this whole idea that your energy affects the universe. Of course, that crosses into the Tesla quote about energy and vibration and understanding the universe. And so since we're vibrational beings, then that makes sense. Then the question becomes, if they're weaponizing time, what's the way out? How do you do that is part of what I've been researching. And I've been looking deeper and deeper into different ideas and philosophies to try to come up with some ideas. Like if you look at Buddhism, that's one way to basically play with time itself, because when you go into meditation, you're going deeper into being. The now is one of those places where you can mess with time a bit. If you look at the book The Rise of Superman, excellent book, by the way, definitely should read it. He goes deep into the different people who are into these high-end sports where they're doing just fantastical things and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And all of them talk about the malleability of time itself in that process. Obviously, it's the sense of flow, right? If you get into a sense of flow, then where is time? Time becomes very malleable. Then there's a study of the guys who went basically back in time. Well, they didn't really go back in time, but they went to a house and they had everything set up like it was 1950, which was when they were like 25 years old or something like that, right? And they're much older. And they go back to that house, and because of the environment, the songs, the news that they heard, and they talked about events as if they were occurring right then. And what they found through that experiment was that people actually started to biologically change a bit. This puts forth a real solid way to look at your environment and time itself and how that really influences what you're doing. And that's why the media and all the stuff that they do and all the stuff you see day after day, this is going to crash, that's going to crash, war, famine, and so on. That's all influencing your environment and keeping you at a lower level.
It's all being burnt down. Cue the fire, my friend. Get it?
But I feel like that lower level isn't just designed to keep you in a lower or vibration, it's also designed to make you reactionary. And when you're reactionary, you have less time to think and you have less time to consider things. And that is definitely weaponizing your attention and intention. And all of that ties into, again, the law of attraction and the whole idea of emotionality combined with attention, intention, and all of that contributes to your ability to manifest things. And the thing of it is, people say, oh, no, that doesn't work. But I say, when you were a kid and you wanted something, think about what you did to get it. Think about how much you thought of it and you dreamt about it and you imagined that you had it. I mean, because you're a kid, so you're imagining things all the time. And my bet is, more often than not, you got what you imagined. Now, I'm not saying all the time, obviously. And it's really hard to say because when you're a kid, it's a long time ago maybe. But it's still something to consider. The play, the imagination of when you're a kid compared to now. Like, how much do you imagine things and envision things and really just play, dream, really dream about something? And that's fun to do. But, I'm one of those people that go off and la la land that way, and I can dream way too much. Like, I feel like I spend maybe too much time dreaming. It's part of my sign. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's part of my sign. So the thing of it is, now I get an excuse to dream, because before it was like, man, I'm just daydreaming. That's no good. The law of attraction. It's like I'm actually doing something. But that's the other part of the law of attraction, and something that Jason Breshears goes into, which is you need to marry action with all that daydreaming. And of course, if you don't, it's nothing. Which brings us back to time itself again, because when you're creating something, when you're envisioning something, the time it takes to write something and create something isn't always just time and seat, and that's it. I mean, when you sit down, sometimes you can create something in 30 minutes, and other times it takes hours. And why is that? Because time is not the element that's necessarily going to get you to create. I mean, sure, you need time and seat, like the 10,000 hours, but a lot of that time is intentionally done, meaning you're not just doing the exercise. Like, let's say you did free throws, for example. You're not just doing free throws. You're not just like, I'll do the free throw and la 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 la. No, you're sitting there and you're looking at the ball and you're intentionally visualizing it going in the basket. A lot of sports will do that visualization to help them get better. And so that's one of the ways it's creeped into the rest of society, because it's accepted in the sports realm. But they do it intentionally. It's not just time in seat. It's much more. And so that's where it's been hijacked. Again, time has been hijacked. Time is weaponized. And the more often that you meditate or put yourself into being instead of just doing, the more time that we do that, which it's funny because the more time, right? The more time that we do that, the more I feel like we can get to the crux of things. And yet we are always in reactionary mode. The more chance that we have to design our lives around pockets of time where we are in our own rhythm, our own circadian rhythm, our own rhythm with the universe itself, with the sky, and with nature. The more pockets we have of that, the more it kind of weaves a bit of wisdom inside of us and offsets a bit of that weaponization. It comes from always paying attention to the clock. Now, I really like that idea, and it's really exciting, and I see where it can be done. And it's easier for me right now with what I'm doing, my lifestyle, to go boondocking and get that. But I think each of us has a chance to have those pockets. And one of the exercises I love, and maybe you'll try, it's so fun though, okay? You take a day and you don't design any of it, okay? You get up, you take the day, you go outside, and you wander. And you don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know who you're going to meet at all for the whole day. It's not by design. It's just responding to what comes next, and after that, and after that, and after that. And it's so much fun. You have to try it. But it also, I feel like that exercise, in a way, kind of decouples us from this sense of time constructs and having to plan in everything. And if you listen to Jason Breshears, he talks about escaping the matrix, basically, by bouncing out of routine, bouncing out of your usual thing. Just surprise yourself, do something completely different, way outside of what you would normally do. Just do those things on a regular basis. And when you do, it frees your mind, body, and soul. I know you might think it's simple, but it'll actually tweak you a bit, because you're like, wait, no, that's not who I am. It's not what I do. But that's the whole idea. You're basically bouncing out of your own construct. And in that, there's freedom. So I'm hoping these ideas kind of like pickled your brain a little bit. And if they were helpful, be sure to give the video a like. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm going to be delving a little bit more into some practices we can do, each of us, that'll kind of mess with the matrix, mess with the weaponization of all the things we have. And I find that exciting, because on an individual level, I feel like we've got the power. We just need to use it. See you next time.